So, in last lecture, we had discussed that ethics is all about choice. Okay. So, every moment, at every step, we make a choice, and moment we make a choice, here begins the domain of ethics, that is critical examination, whether your decision has been right or wrong. Now, long back, one person made a decision, made a choice, and he ended up cutting a stone, cutting a mountain, and he made a way into that is famously known as mountain man. That is Maji, Dashrath Maji. Okay, so that is how the choice, the importance of choice. We know Nelson Mandela. When apartheid regime was ended, elections was held, and he became president. Then he also had option that what he is supposed to do, either to punish those people who were involved into racialism or to forgive them. He had chosen a he had chosen an option of forgiving and forgetting and making them to reconcile into the mainstream. And his choice was quite successful. Means the animosity and the revenge and that avenge feeling has gone, and people had ended up into a kind of solidarity, and that in that way he had displayed a moral courage. That is the level of choice. So we understood that a choice or ethics either makes you or breaks you. It makes you a great leader, or it will be giving you a kind of bad reputation. For example, we have the many businessmen and many people have absconded. Like we famously give example of Vijay Mallya. Okay, then we had Sushil Modi. Now they are like their wrong choice, and their entire empire and business house collapsed. On the other hand, we have Ratan Tata, who made certain choices, and hence he made or carved out his own place in not only in the corporate world but in a society in general, and he is counted as a like one of the most ethical leader in the at the global level. That's the importance of ethics, and that's the importance of choice. Now, we have also understood that choice is governed by various factors, various approaches. Okay, it is not just like only out of conscience. Various factors play, roles simultaneously. Now it depends on my ethical sensitivity, my moral compass, that how and why I will make a choice on which mode and which thing I will be choosing. But one thing is certain, that it requires a holistic competence. Okay, and holistic competence, we will be soon understanding that it itself consists of various kinds of competencies. And this is where ethics has to be studied, contemplated, so that we can develop that holistic competence, which includes not only ethical sensitivity, which includes emotional intelligence also. And that, of course, also includes your IQ, intelligence competency. Okay. So that's how we have the background. It would be better if you come at this. Okay. Now we also know, and let us have a brief exam orientation. Okay. We know that ethics as a worth of 250 marks, and it is so crucial, as we have discussed yesterday, that it not only in our life and work profile, ethics makes you or breaks you. It is equally applicable to your UPSC exam also. If I club essay also, then ethics plus essay makes 500 marks. And it is only in these two areas we can score up to 60%. I mean, that is like amazing. Just imagine out of 500, if somebody is scoring 300 or like 275 or 300, anything in between that. And in optional paper, even if you are able to score like 270, 280, that means your call is certain. Call is certain. अब अगर किसी इंटरव्यू में या किसी एक पेपर ने एवरेज मार्क्स भी दे दिए आपको, तो देन यू आर इन द फाइनल लिस्ट. So that is the importance of ethics as well as essay. Why I have included essay? Look, by this time you must have noticed that for essay you don't have to have a separate preparation. Essay का जो भी content है वो सारा का सारा इन्हीं discussion से निकलने वाला है. Because in essay also you have to take a stand, and once you take a stand then you have to justify that. So in these discussion you will get lot of stuff, lot of dimensions for the essay also. So don't separate essay and don't treat it as a separate subject or separate discipline. As a philosophy student, we can club, as we have discussed also, that we can club socio-political philosophy, ethics as well as essay. इनका तीनों का एक कॉम्बो बना लें. एंड ये तीनों का कॉम्बो का मतलब है 250 plus 250 plus 250 or not even 250, it is like 125, something like that. So that makes 600 plus. और ओवरलैपिंग बहुत ज़्यादा है. See in socio-political philosophy and see yesterday's lecture. Different factors governing my choice. उसमें हमने क्या बात करी? हम बात करें जस्टिस की, हम बात करें राइट्स की, हम बात करें वेलफेयर की, हम बात करें वेलबींग की, हम बात करें इंटेंशन की. वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट फ्रीडम. तो यही तो सारा सब कुछ वी हैड स्टडीड इन सोशो पॉलिटिकल फिलोसफी. So if we don't make some watertight compartment, then there will be like a very fluidity among these three disciplines, and you will be able to have a command over these three areas simultaneously. Okay, so just club them together. As far as your ethics paper is concerned, broadly, there are two types of question. I mean, you must be knowing that ethics paper is divided into two sections, theory as well as case study. Broadly, there is a equal division, 120, 125 theory, and equal 120, 125 is that of case studies. Now in theory, we have broadly two types of question. One is related to fundamental, okay? And these fundamentals are like those topics which are not directly mentioned in the syllabus. These are those topics from where these syllabus topics have been derived. In syllabus topic के पीछे क्या है? Those are the fundamental, and we call them as peripheral topic. And number of times, I mean every year we find a good chunk of questions from these peripheral topics which are not directly mentioned in the syllabus. For example, they have asked question on good life. Today we will understand that, but that is not mentioned in your syllabus. Then they have asked what is happiness. Once or twice they have asked. Then they have asked about public trust. Then once they had asked about patriotism. Then they had asked voice of conscience, inner voice. Then once they had asked crisis of conscience. Then they have asked that nobody should be treated as means. Every being should be treated as an end in himself. This is a philosophy of humanism which is not directly mentioned in the syllabus. And there are many such topics. Initial years में, so I think majority of the questions were from peripheral area. But in recent times, like in last 2-3 years, we are seeing questions from directly from the syllabus. But so there is now mix of these peripheral fundamental questions and direct questions from the syllabus. लेकिन एक चीज और है, कि जो क्वेश्चन से डायरेक्ट भी आ रहे हैं सिलेबस में, उनके आंसर भी आर नॉट कमिंग फ्रॉम जस्ट रीडिंग दोज टेक्स्ट। सिर्फ टॉपिक वाइज प्रिपेयर करने से वो आंसर नहीं आता है, आंसर नहीं निकलेगा। देयर वोंट बी एन ऑर्गेनिक रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ आंसर। इसका मतलब ये हुआ that what is behind the syllabus, that is equally required even when we are writing answers on the topics which have come directly from the syllabus. For example, question have come on citizen charter or right to information. So we need to understand what is citizen charter, objectives, when it was implemented, what are challenges, what are the implications, what is the impact. That's a hardcore theoretical answer. But that won't fetch you marks. Marks कैसे fetch करेगा? कि citizen charter, why? Where exactly it is hitting? What exactly it wants to achieve? What is the ultimate purpose of these, governance or these tools? Right to information किस लिए भाई? How exactly it impacted the lives of people? और वहां पर हमें जरूरत है इनकी, again we require those ideals, justice. We need to deliver justice. We need to ensure rights. इसलिए राइट टू इंफॉर्मेशन सिटीजन चार्टर दे रहे हैं। इसलिए पब्लिक सर्विस डिलीवरी मैकेनिज्म शुड बी क्वालिटेटिव एंड इट शुड बी एफिशिएंट एंड इट शुड बी इफेक्टिव। along with this efficient and effectiveness, it should be ethical. आपने तो efficient effectively distribute करा, लेकिन it did not deliver the things at the needy person. So you have to take into account their higher principles, those supreme principles. So what I'm trying to say कि आपके जितने भी टॉपिक्स मेंशन्ड है सिलेबस में, उनमें जान उससे आएगी जो कि उन टॉपिक्स के पीछे है. And that's where we have discussed yesterday that in initial classes I would be creating a building block, a background, a foundation. And for many classes you will be like that syllabus से कुछ नहीं हो रहा है. But that is the background of that syllabus. Once we are done with that, then one by one all those things will come and topic will come. वो तो factual चीजें हैं जो भी है, that you will find everywhere in any book. That is not a big deal. So these are the theoretical questions. Okay. Case studies जो हैं like ethical dilemmas and one perception बना हुआ है कि case studies means dilemmas, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है. Case studies are of different types. Variety of case studies are there. So one case study is like related to ethical dilemmas. What are ethical dilemmas? We will see that. But one thing we can clearly know, that whichever path you choose, you will end up doing something wrong. दो options है, तीन options है, you can choose any one of them, लेकिन तीन के अलावा चौथा ऑप्शन नहीं है. And whichever option you choose, some harm is to be done, some wrong would be there. तो ऐसी परिस्थिति में हम कहते हैं कि नाउ आई एम इन डायलेमा, कि क्या चूज करूं, और नहीं चूज करते हो, सो देन देयर विल बी बिगर हार्म. दैट इज ए टिपिकल एथिकल डायलेमा. एंड देयर आर डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ डायलेमा. वी विल सी दैट. one variety of case study is ethical dilemma. Second type of variety of case study is like administrative decision. अब हमेशा ही डायलेमा थोड़ी होता है. You have to take a prompt decision. Seeing the situation, you have to come out with solution, out of box solution. Some crisis is there, some deliverance is there, some motivation is there, some policy making is there. So that is like more testing of your administrative capabilities and ability to make a choice and to take a decision in a timely way. That is more of administrative based case study. Third type of case study is regarding your emotional intelligence. That is like we talk about the attitude. That is like based on your aptitude. We will see what exactly this attitude and aptitude is. But emotional intelligence, we know that your emotional sensitivity and your emotional intelligence and ethical intelligence, how they are compatible with each other, how balanced they are, that will make you to take a conscious and a rational and ethical decision. The third type of case study would be based on to check your emotional intelligence, attitude, aptitude, and within this, at least one case study every year is on the persuasion. एंड परसुएशन पे आप मान के चलें एक केस स्टडी तो आता ही आता है. समटाइम्स यू माइट हैव टू केस स्टडीज आल्सो. एंड परसुएशन अपने आप में एक अलग साइंस है. ओके, I'll just give you one example of persuasion that in recent time, some years back, Government of India had launched स्वच्छ भारत अभियान. अब लोगों को कैसे मोटिवेट करें? हाउ टू मोटिवेट देम टू फॉलो द क्लीनलीनेस. तो क्या करा फिर उन्होंने? एडवर्टीजमेंट बना दिया, प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने दे दिया, स्कीम बना दिया, प्रोग्राम बना दिया, प्रोग्राम लॉन्च कर दिया, एडवर्टीजमेंट कर दिया, सब कुछ कर दिया, बट पीपल आर नॉट गेटिंग मोटिवेटेड. सो नाउ we need to persuade people. You can't force people. There's a difference between coercion and persuasion. Persuasion is more of inspiring, motivating. Coercion means you are something like forcing somebody. Okay, so कैसे हुआ फिर वो? Then we took the help of Government of India, took the help of celebrities. फिर आगे सब biggest superstar Amitabh Bachchan had come and he took that cleaning those tools and he started cleaning road. The fan of Amitabh Bachchan, my God and my role model is doing that, and hence we will follow them. Then different people and different celebrities have been involved into that. Prime Minister himself took that that broom and started cleaning road. So that is like, Prime Minister is doing. So when Prime Minister can do that, where is the problem with us? So we got motivated, we got inspired, and that is how a persuasion is there. Okay, so persuasion, we will see that persuasion is also sometimes ethical as well as non-ethical. आपने persuade कर लिया because of your selfish interest. And that is the misuse of your skill. Skills तो बहुत psychological skills तो बड़ी prominent होती, बड़ी powerful होती. They can change your mind. So persuasion is changing your mind, but for bad reason, for my selfish interest. Okay, so that would be unethical persuasion. Unethical persuasion का एक simple example है that celebrities are doing advertisement of smoking. एक तरफ हमने persuade करा cleanliness के लिए, दूसरी तरफ मेरा role model वो he is smoking. So when I am getting influenced by that cleanliness efforts, I will definitely get influenced by smoking. Easily many celebrities and many people refuse to do advertisement of these pan masala and smoking and all these things. अनएथिकल परसुएशन का और क्या एग्जांपल्स है कि जिस प्रोडक्ट को मैं एंडोर्स कर रहा हूं मैं यूज ही नहीं करूं. Isn't it? That's the big problem. कि आपने एंडोर्स कर लिया, पैसे ले लिए, and you yourself is using some another brand. Okay, so basically case studies are broadly of these three types. So we will see, and I'll try to integrate case studies in the theory itself so that we can have better understanding. One more thing about this paper is that people have developed obsession for case study. Okay, so case studies होगी कि नहीं होगी, case studies कराना है, case studies ही करना है. But I find that again that is a wrong packaging एंड दैट्स अ रॉन्ग परसेप्शन. केस स्टडी में क्या करना है आपने? केस स्टडी में यू हैव टू चूज, यू हैव टू मेक ए डिसीजन, यू हैव टू मेक ए चॉइस. यही तो है, यही तो क्वेश्चन आता है. दैट आउट ऑफ वेरियस ऑप्शंस, देन विच ऑप्शन वुड यू चूज एंड व्हाई? और द क्वेश्चन कम्स, एक्सप्लोर वेरियस ऑप्शंस, talk about pros and cons and tell which option you will be choosing and why. मतलब ये है कि केस स्टडी में वो हमसे एक डिसीजन लेना चाहते, he wants to see our decision. तो डिसीजन तो हमने बता दिया. इट इज सिंपली लाइक कि हाँ भाई, कोई किसी को भी पूछोगे, यू कैच एनी पर्सन ऑन द रोड साइड, उसको बोले यार ऐसे ऐसी सिचुएशन है भाई, तू क्या करेगा? तो इमीडिएटली से मैं तो ये करूँ. लेकिन केस स्टडी का आंसर वहां से शुरू होता है, आंसर कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ. आपने उससे पूछा कि क्यों करेगा भाई ये? तो द पर्सन हु इज नॉट डन एनी स्पेशलाइज्ड रीडिंग, ही वोंट बी एबल टू टेल यू कि भाई वो क्यों करेगा. उसको तो लगा, उसने कहा ये करूंगा, दैट इज इम्पल्सिव डिसीजन. लेकिन हमने क्या करना है केस स्टडी में? वी डू समथिंग एंड देन we have to justify that. We have to logically and rationally give justification that in this situation, why I have chosen that. I have to give reasons for that. So, बड़ा simple सा game है. Now you tell me that your justification, your reason, from where you will bring. वो reason, justification कहाँ से लेके आओगे? You will bring from the theory part, which we have been studying. So what I'm trying to say, that if your theory becomes very strong, and if you have studied theory along with case study, then you will not fall short of justification and content and the elements where you will justify your stand. Immediately कह पाएंगे कि भैया ये this is like we need to ensure justice, and then you will explain justice. You will explain something like niti and nyaya. You will say that these are the values which have been, compromised, and that's where we need to, uphold, or we need to protect those values. So jitne bhi factors which affect our choice, what yesterday we had discussed, unka theory would be required in case studies answer. Okay, so that way you need to understand that both are like two sides of a coin, and more important is theory. Okay, fine. Now yesterday we had discussed some of the dimensions of ethics, that why we need to be ethical, why ethics is needed. Okay, then we have also discussed and understood that ethics owes its origin from the basic human nature. Okay, then we have also understood that ethics is all about choices, and choice are governed by a series of factors. We have also understood that to make an ethical decision, we need to have a holistic competence. But the question remains unanswered, that what exactly you mean by ethics? Ethics hota kya hai? Hence, today we will try to discuss what exactly ethics is. Okay, so we will try to simplify this as much as possible. So, in the simplest way, I can say that ethics is set of principles. It's a set of principles or values. That is, these set of principles constitute the conception of what is good, or you can also understand that what is morally good. Or in a more simplified way, you can understand the conception of what is good with the ultimate objective, supreme aim of human life. Because ethics is a branch of philosophy, and as an ethical philosophical system, it seeks the summum bonum of human life. What is the ultimate aim, purpose of human life? So we are understanding in that. So ethics stand for set of principles or values, well-founded standards. And these set of principles will govern, they will govern human action. They will govern human action and will decide whether these human actions are right or wrong. Or you can say whether those actions are ethical or unethical. Okay. Now, this is the simplest definition of ethics. However, it is not elaborative and it is not comprehensive. And now we will understand its nitty-gritties. Pehla, how and who will decide what these set of principles are? What these set of principles? How to know these set of principles? Why? Why we need to know these set of principles? Because we want to ascertain whether actions are right and wrong. Why we need to ascertain? Because we cannot survive without ethics. We understood yesterday that ethics is necessary for the very survival in this mundane world. Without ethics, without some absolute principles, without some the conception of what is good, we will be in chaotic condition. There will be chaos. And in such moral anarchy, we won't be able to have freedom, justice, rights, and we will be deprived of having to have well-being. इसलिए हमें ये set of principles चाहिए. Okay, why we have already answered yesterday that why we need to have. Okay, we have also understood that even fittest cannot survive when nobody survives. जब कोई है ही नहीं तो वो survive कैसे करेगा? Hence, survival is among people, in togetherness, in solidarity, in a sense of community. And hence, we also understood that ethics makes a balance between individuality and community. I love to be in solitary, but I'm also dependent on society. इन दोनों के बीच में बैलेंस बनाएगा, ethics बैलेंस करेगा. Okay? But the question remains, ये set of principles क्या है और ये कौन डिसाइड करेगा कि these are the set of principles और कैसे डिसाइड होगा? Okay? Then we can also see that these set of principles, are they concerned with individual or specific community, or will they be generalized, or will they be universalized? What this conception of set of principles is like, for whom? You can understand in that way, for whom? Is it like, are they subjective or are they objective? So it requires a new line of discussion. And in this new line of discussion, we will understand that these set of principles or values or well-founded standards are not matter of subjectivity or not matter of subjective opinion. It is not confined to one particular community. Rather, they fulfill the criteria of social, and they are like universal. Okay. Then we also need to understand that we have used one word, human action. Now, this word human action is not used in a very generalized way. Rather, it is used in a very technical sense. Human action in general might imply that actions are done by human being. It is just as that I am walking and my head is moving, my hand is moving, and you say that these are the human actions, and these human actions are like ethical, moral, or immoral, or ethical, or unethical. But we need to differentiate. Are these human actions, or these are simply actions of human being? There's a difference. Human actions and acts done by human being. So ethics is concerned with human action. Hence, we need to understand what exactly these human actions are. And these technicalities makes ethics as a science. And once we decide that, look, human actions are those which are supposed to fulfill certain conditions. Actions which fulfill those conditions, only those actions would be known as human action. Then we will move to another question, that within human action, what exactly you need to see, and how we will be judging that which action will become right or wrong. इसका मतलब ये हुआ, within human action, what we will see that human action have certain parts, and to judge whether that human action is right or wrong, ethical or unethical, we need to know what these parts are. Correct? Now, we will again come to one more term, which is like ethics set of principles or values which governs human action and ascertain and decide whether that action is right or wrong. But here again we need to understand that what exactly you mean by right. Right means, broadly means like proper. General meaning of right is proper or correct. Okay? But see, suppose you say, yes sir, this is unethical. Okay? Suppose I did some action and you said, sir, this is unethical. This is wrong. Obviously, I will ask, why? To say or to term a action as a right and wrong, you need to have some reference points, isn't it? Without reference point, on what basis should I say that this is right and wrong? Suppose you have done something and then I said, no, this is wrong. तो आप पूछेंगे ना कि sir, why it is wrong? Then I will say that, look here, according to my institute and my organization, we have made these rules, and your action is going against these rules, and hence this is wrong. This is wrong in this institute. But if same act you do outside, it might not be wrong. It might not be not unethical. because their rules might differ. From this institute, you have gone to some another institute, some XYZ institute. So there you will have another rules. And that rule will govern the right and wrong. So the point is that to judge anything right and wrong, I need to have some reference points. Or simply, it cannot be decided in moral vacuum. It cannot be decided in moral vacuum. Hence, we need to have some reference point. And with the reference of that, I'm saying that this action is right or wrong. And that reference point must be what? Will it be subjective or objective? Definitely, it has to be objective, isn't it? And hence, we need to have some absolute value system. And based on that, we are deciding that this action or this human action is right or wrong. Okay. Now, further we elaborate. We have said that ethics is a set of principles that governs human action and tells that this human action is right or wrong. Now, is this set of principles based on whims and fancies of an individual? Of course not. It is not based on anybody's whims and fancies. It is not subjective opinion. It has not to be subject opinion. Otherwise, what would have occurred? Hitler had set a set of principles. He made a rule that Germany should be free from Jews. Okay? And based on this, he will govern human action. So if somebody is eliminating Jews, then he would become in that context ethical. And if somebody who is not killing Jews, then he will become unethical. But that's weird, and that is completely nonsensical. That means these set of principles are not based on individual whims and fancies. They are not based on individual likes and dislikes. Rather, these set of principles must be based on reason. They are well founded on reason, and hence they are not subjective. Hence they are not whims and fancies. Okay? Hence they are not individual opinion. ऐसे तो कोई कुछ भी कर लेगा. Hence, these set of principles are based on reason, wisdom, reasoning, questioning. But with reason also, there is one issue, that is our reason constant or is it dynamic? It is dynamic. See, 100 years back, our reason, what was that reason? And now, of course, definitely, this reason is more evolved. We have become more rational. We have become more logical. And 100 years down the lane, in this evolution, we will become more rational. Once upon a time, our reason allowed to continue certain dogmatic and fanatical and violent practices. किसी ज़माने में तो हम rituals करते थे, sacrifices करते थे, and in some of the culture, human sacrifices were there. We had in really that sati system. जैसे जैसे हमारा रीजन डेवलप हुआ, हमने वो नॉर्म्स बदले, पैरामीटर्स बदले, वैल्यूज बदली, प्रैक्टिसेस बदली. So what I am trying to say, that these set of principles are based on reason, but reason is dynamic. Hence, these set of principles are not like that they are set for once for all time. Since reason is dynamic, this set of principle requires continuous, critical, continuous, critical examination of these set of principles, this set of values or principles, or whatever you have conception of good, whatever conception of good you have made it. इसका we need to have critical examination continuously, constantly critical examination, and that makes these set of principles what? Objective and universal, isn't it? And that makes not just subjective opinion, and hence in that way these set of principles fulfill the social and collective criteria. It represents the social and collective view. These set of principles are those which harmonizes many desires or many conception of good into one. Isn't it? What is good? हमने कहा what is good, that simply what is the ultimate objective of human life. But different people might have different objectives. But those objectives, those supreme aim, summum bonum of human life must be based on reason, and that need to be critically examined. Further, different conception of good is set of principle में should get harmonized. जितना ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा हो सकता है उतना हमें हार्मोनाइज करना चाहिए, होना चाहिए in this set of principle. Now we see that definition of ethics is becoming more and more broader and more comprehensive. And hence, in this broader interpretation, we have taken into account the role of reason. And it is also taken into account that it is not decided once for all, rather it requires continuous, all the time, critical examination. Then only these values will evolve. The conception of equality 100 years, 200 years back, and the conception of equality right now is different. Rights were given to certain community. The notion, the conception of rights some years back, till some years back, 10 years, 20 years back, and conception of right, now there is a change. In 5 साल में 10 साल में ही चेंज हो गया. वो कैसे चेंज हो गया? You see Article 21. You will find that gradual elaboration and expansion of Article 21. And some years back, in that Article 21, a community has been included. Earlier, they were deprived of those rights. They were there, but they were not officially present. And hence, they have been included, they have been recognized as beings. By now, you are officially existing. We are talking with reference to transgender. तो राइट का नोशन देखिए कैसे डेवलप हो रहा है. हमारी लाइफ टाइम में राइट्स का नोशन डेवलप हो रहा है. तो ये जो भी आप वैल्यूज आप बना रहे हो, जो भी प्रिंसिपल्स आप बना रहे हैं, वो स्टैटिक नहीं है, वो डायनामिक है, वो इवॉल्व होते रहेंगे. एंड अकॉर्डिंगली योर एग्जामिनेशन, योर इवोल्यूशन of human action will keep on changing. At the same time, one thing is also certain, that you cannot decide anything right and wrong in moral vacuum. किस बेसिस पे आप बोलोगे कि ये राइट है और ये रॉन्ग है? वो बताने के लिए वी नीड टू हैव सम एब्सोल्यूट प्रिंसिपल. मैं उसको देखूंगा और फिर उसको देख के फिर आपके एक्शन को जज करके बोलूंगा यस इट इज राइट और इट इज एथिकल और इट इज लाइक एथिकल डिसीजन. इज दैट फाइन? Okay. Now, further, we see this and we further evolve this. ये set of principles जो बन रहे हैं, like, you know, this question is a troublesome. Okay, set of principles for whom? Or like we can say good for whom? This is like a remnant of a very selfish conception, a very narrow conception. Like we had one thinker in the Greek times, we had one thinker, Thrasymachus. It is he who has raised that good for whom? Good for whom? The Thrasymachus have defined or conceptualized good from the perspective of powerful, ruling class, elite class, because he wanted to protect their property, their prestige, their power. It is sometimes called as like a kind of doggy ethics. We call a dog as good, obedient, loyal if it follows our command. So it is like a very narrow interpretation where you are specifically protecting one particular community. However, once we move further and we find that Gandhiji says, no, Gandhiji rejects this. Rather, Gandhiji says that it should be, good should be, or morally good should be for all. That is, Gandhiji says that it should be for all. And hence, यहाँ से निकला welfare for all or well-being for all. And from here, you can include his philosophy of Sarvodaya. तो ये जो भी सेट ऑफ प्रिंसिपल्स आप बना रहे हैं, जो भी वैल्यूज आप बना रहे हैं, it is not based on any individual, any particular community, or neither it is there to protect any particular class. Okay, rather it is for all, welfare all. Each and every individual has a right to see well-being, attaining fullness of life. And that's where Gandhiji come out with the conception of Sarvodaya. And hence, there is a beginning of ethics when we start sacrificing and subordinating our narrow interest for the family interest for the society interest for the nation, and nation interest for the global peace, harmony, stability. That is the base of ethics. That is the base of morality. Okay. Now, in this regard, we can have some conception regarding what is good or what is the conception of good. Like Upanishads, हम इस सेगमेंट में क्या डिस्कस कर रहे हैं? हम इस सेगमेंट में डिस्कस कर रहे हैं कि सेट ऑफ प्रिंसिपल्स जो है वो क्या है, ओके वो कैसे डेवलप करेंगे वो हम यहाँ देखेंगे, राइट? एंड दीज सेट ऑफ प्रिंसिपल्स should fulfill the criteria of being objective and universality. ये क्राइटेरिया है, राइट? क्राइटेरिया कौन कौन से हो गए? दैट इट शुड बी हैविंग सोशल एंड कलेक्टिव व्यू, it should harmonize many desires into one, okay, and it should be objective, it should be universal, and it should be objective. These are the criteria of those set of principles. In that regard, we will have some of the conceptualization, that what is the concept of good, जिसके basis पे what we are going to decide right and wrong. So according to Upanishads, there are two types of things. One is shreyas and other is prayers. Shreyas and prayers. Shreyas is a referring to long lasting happiness. It is the long lasting. It is the long lasting happiness. It is something like, as much as we can try, everlasting happiness. And this is considered as good. And this is considered as the supreme aim of human life. And prayers is like short term, it is like a short term or momentary happiness. Momentary happiness. Okay. So Upanishads' distinction between Shreyas and prayers have been long-term happiness and short-term happiness, and according to Upanishads, it is the Shreyas which is the ultimate aim of human life. So ये set of principles जो है, what is good according to Upanishads, it is a life of prayers. Okay. Now prayers is not immoral until unless you adopt immoral means to have prayers, isn't it? अगर आपने immoral means को लिया और फिर prayers को आप अचीव कर रहे हैं material pleasure के लिए, short term momentary pleasure के लिए, then only it will become immoral. Otherwise ये immoral नहीं है. But however, ultimate aim is like Shreyas. This is like given by Upanishads. Then we can also talk about Kant, these set of principles जिनके basis पे human action is going to be decided as right or wrong. Different philosophers and different interpretations. कुछ set कोई एक formula नहीं है. In different context, different principles will apply. Upanishads, like it's a philosophical conception. Then we have the Kantian application, and Kant will be focusing on the duty. He is not concerned about the consequences. We will see them separately. Okay, but here we are saying that Kant have let down those set of principles as like categorical imperatives. Categorical imperative, that those moral laws which need to be followed come what may, and these moral laws are based on reason. So he includes the element of rationality. Kant is not concerned about the consequences. He is just concerned about the duty. And his famous slogan is duty for the sake of duty, which comes very close to Bhagavad Gita's conception of Swadharma. Now, we will also see, once we take up Kant separately, but we will see that some of the contemporary thinkers like Amartya Sen would be criticizing Kantian notion of moral law or his conception of morality. Why? Because he focuses too much on duty without taking into account consequences. So Amartya Sen says that consequences are equally important. आपने तो एक रूल बना दिया, एक moral law बना दिया that everybody has to speak truth. That's a moral law. That's a set of principle. That's a conception of good. Always speak truth. But if you follow that moral law so mechanically, then you might have sometime disastrous result. तो कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस को देखे बगैर आप ये काम करोगे तो देयर विल बी प्रॉब्लम. सो कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस आर इक्वली इंपॉर्टेंट. दैट मीन्स दैट कोई एक अप्रोच काम नहीं करने वाली है. देयर नीड टू बी integration or influence of many approaches. This is where we are trying to say that there has to be holistic competence. अगर holistic competence के नहीं काम होगा. However, very interestingly, Kant had knew this, that consequences भी हैं और truthful you can't be so truthful. Truthful has to be followed, but at times you have to see the other dimensions also. तो वो कैसे बैलेंस करे? You cannot lie, but sometimes speaking truth becomes dangerous. And that is considered as a kind of white lie. What Yudhishthir did in Mahabharata. He spoke truth, but intention was something else. That is considered as white lie. Similar thing was happened to Kant. Kant happened in 18th century AD. And he used to write a lot of criticism on religion. Of course, religion means Christianity. So there, a king was annoyed. And king had told Kant, ki, bhai, you should avoid this. So Kant had said, sir, as your majesty's subject, in future, I will desist from writing anything against religion. Now he manipulated with this phrase. What did he say? As your majesty's faithful subject. I repeat, as your majesty's faithful subject, I will desist from in future from writing anything against religion. अब इसमें क्या मैनिपुलेशन है? इसमें मैनिपुलेशन ये है, this is considered as a white lie, because he knew that king won't survive much. तो भाई किंग का हमने प्रॉमिस भी रखनी है, मुझे सच भी बोलना है और मुझे वो भी काम करना है जो कि मैं कर रहा हूं, बिकॉज आई एम क्रिटिकल ऑफ सर्टेन एलिमेंट्स. So what did he say? As your majesty's faithful subject. So as long as king is living, he will follow that promise. Moment king goes away, he will come back to his own critical writing. That is considered as a white lie. Okay? Then Upanishads, Kant, then we can also refer about Gandhiji. We are talking about this set of principles. What is good or what is bad? क्योंकि ये तभी डिसाइड होगा जब ये डिसाइड होगा. जब ये डिसाइड नहीं है तो ये राइट रॉन्ग का मुद्दा नहीं होता है. दिस इज वेयर वी हैव रिटन दैट राइट कैन नॉट बी हेल्ड इन ए मॉरल वैक्यूम. वो मॉरल वैक्यूम को फिलअप करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. तो उपनिषदास कह रहे हैं कि वो मॉरल वैल्यूज, वो एब्सोल्यूट वैल्यूज क्या है? श्रेय. कैंट के हिसाब से क्या है? कैटेगोरिकल इंपेरेटिव. एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू गांधी जी, दिस मॉरल वैल्यूज और एब्सोल्यूट प्रिंसिपल्स would be decided on the basis of inner voice that is conscience. And further, he says that these will be decided on the basis of not only means, not only ends, but also motive. But also motive. Okay. This is like one segment. Now we come to this segment कि ये सेट ऑफ प्रिंसिपल्स कैसे कैसे ढूंढें कि कौन सा प्रिंसिपल है, ये किस बेसिस पे हम ये मान लें व्हाट दीज पीपल आर सेइंग. In that regard, we have to take help of philosophy and philosophizing that will help us in creating this set of principles. Okay, and in that we say that ये कैसे सेट ऑफ प्रिंसिपल इवॉल्व होंगे, दैट वुड बी डिपेंडिंग अपॉन philosophy and philosophizing. What does it mean? That simply means philosophy means questioning, and questioning means seeking not just answers, seeking justification. Seeking justification. Philosophy begins in the realm of curiosity. Philosophy begins in the realm or discipline or faculty of wonder. Whenever we enter into the world where we are confronted with questions, what, how, why, where, we have entered into the world of philosophy. And once there are questions, then definitely we will seek answers of that. And this seeking answers is a very narrow interpretation. Actually, by seeking answers, we seek justification. And through seeking justification, we end up creating world of value. It is just as that we raised questions regarding, for example, caste discrimination. For example, gender discrimination. And we raised question that caste discrimination, and we seek justification. On what ground you are justifying caste discrimination, untouchability, and gender discrimination? On what ground you are, somebody is deprived of their rights. Somebody have been deprived to see the fullness of their life. Usko justify karo. So when we think about it, then we find that there is not a single way, a single reason to justify gender discrimination, gender inequality, or caste inequality. And when we fail to justify caste and gender inequalities, then we say that caste inequalities and gender inequalities and discrimination, that they are wrong. If they are wrong, then the another question arises that then what is right? Then what is right? And hence, by what is right, through this we raise question what ought to be. What ought to be. अगर ये गलत है, अगर करप्शन गलत है, अगर चीटिंग गलत है, अगर लाइंग गलत है, अगर क्रूएलिटी गलत है, अगर इनइक्वालिटीज गलत है, इनजस्टिस गलत है, तो सही क्या है? What ought to be. And once ought to be, we are forced to think on that. And once we start thinking, then we come to the conclusion that what ought to be, क्या होना चाहिए, and then we say that equality होनी चाहिए. वो क्या होना चाहिए? Why? Then we say justice होनी चाहिए. Then we say that we should speak truth. Then there ought to be empathy, then there need to be empathy. क्या होना चाहिए? Then we say welfare होना चाहिए. More you think, more values get created. And there we say that everybody should be able to see fullness of life. What ought to be? Nobody should be treated as a means. Everybody should be treated as end in themselves. Hence, what ought to be? Dignity should be protected and ensured. Right? We can't survive in the world of lies because everybody would speak lying to each other. That will be chaos. And hence, we say what ought to be truth. We can't survive in a world of violence. And hence, we said that even fittest cannot survive. Hence, there need to be non-violence. We can't survive in a world of corruption. It is just as good as saying that we can't survive in a society of liars. We can't survive in a society which is full of corruption. Hence, what ought to be? Honesty. Isn't it? What ought to be? Empathy. And that's where the beauty of philosophy is that we keep on asking questions, and while asking questions, we seek justification, and while seeking justification, wherever we don't find justification, we call that as a right, and then again we raise question, what ought to be? और वहां से values बन रही है. And that's where we say that we end up creating a world of value. And this is how a world of values is created, and these world of values are subjective or objective. They are objective. Now it will fulfill all the criteria of that, what is conception of good, because they are objective. They are particular or universal. They are universal. They are private or social. They are social. And that's where it conflicts or it harmonizes. It harmonizes. And that's where we end up creating what? Set of principles. हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव इसको क्रिएट करना था, set of principle or conception of good. So ethics deals with the conception of good. Ethics deals with what is good. Ethics differentiate between good and bad. Now this good and bad, we are using these two terms in a moral sense. हम तो ये भी कहते हैं ड्रिंकिंग वाटर इज गुड, eating fruits is good. But saying this, eating fruits is good, but this we say good in a moral sense. ये वैल्यू कंसेप्ट नहीं है, वैल्यू बेस्ड कंसेप्ट नहीं है, isn't it? लेकिन जब हम यहाँ गुड की बात कर रहे हैं तो ये हम कौन से गुड की बात कर रहे हैं? यहाँ पर हम वैल्यू कंसेप्ट की बात कर रहे हैं. एंड हियर गुड इज दैट विच इज मॉरली गुड. यहाँ तो हम फिर भी कह सकते हैं क्या ईटिंग फ्रूट्स इज गुड, ड्रिंकिंग वाटर इज गुड, बट टू मच ड्रिंकिंग वाटर is dangerous. Too much eating fruit is dangerous. Hence, we say eat fruits in a moderate way. Drink water in a moderate way. But can we say this, that be good in moderate way? No. Why? Because they are absolute. They are absolute. But those things are not absolute, right? And hence, ethics, by this exercise, we have ended up creating a world of value, a set of principles. And those set of principles are based on, these set of principles are based on reason. ये reason ही तो कर रहे हैं. More we reason, more we create world of value. And these set of values and principles are based on reason, but reason is dynamic. And hence, we will continue to critically examine these world of values, and our conception regarding justice, equality, empathy, welfare will keep on evolving. More we become rational, more they get evolved. And hence, in present time, we stand for welfare state. We stand for justice for all. We stand for well-being. And we stand and we say that this well-being is not just to be evaluated in terms of economic parameters, economic criteria. सिर्फ वेल्थ आने से, इनकम आने से वेल-बीइंग नहीं होता है. Well-being is evaluated by n number of factors. And well-being को हमने फिर relate किया that one should be able to see fullness of life. I should grow just as a flower fully blossoms. In that way, I want to blossom like that. And hence for that I need to have conducive environment, favorable conditions, adequate opportunities. That's where the ethics stands for. Okay, and this is how, जब ये world of values, ये जो world of values हमने बनाया, इस world of values को उठाकर जब हम यहाँ रखेंगे, और I will just make here itself world of values. Now ये world of values क्या decide करेगा? Whether your action is right or wrong. Hence, now you see it becomes so simplified. अब आपने कोई भी action किया, and immediately I said this is wrong, this is unethical. Why? आपने कहा सर क्यों? Because you went against justice, you went against truthfulness, you went against non-violence, you went against honesty. It becomes now a science. It becomes now a very simplified version. अब हमने एथिक्स में सबसे पहले वर्ल्ड ऑफ वैल्यूज ही बनाना है, और वर्ल्ड ऑफ वैल्यूज बन गया, इसके बाद में हमारी सारी चीजें आसान. Then we don't have to do anything extra. Okay? Now, एक चीज और रह रही है. Now we have seen that these set of principles, like for whom we have, like, or we can say, what is the criteria? And this criteria of this set of principles is like absolute. They should be absolute. They should be universal. They should have social and collective view. They should be objective. They should harmonize all the desires, all the consumption. Then we have also discussed कि world of values लाएंगे कैसे? Is it based on like individuals' whims and fancies? No, it is not like that. They are based on reason, and they require critical examination, evaluation all the time. Now we have human action. Okay, what is human action? Now these human actions are which fulfill certain criteria. It's a technical term. Okay, and an action would be that which fulfills certain criteria. That is, I should have knowledge of what I'm doing, isn't it? Now there are many actions of me about which I'm not aware. They are natural reflexes. As my head is moving, my body is moving, my hand is moving, my eyes are moving. These are unintended. They are non-deliberate. These functions, these actions are performed without their knowledge. Hence, I should have knowledge of what actually I'm doing. That means, that means, which actions are human actions? Which are deliberate. Which are deliberate. Then second, they should be voluntary. They should be voluntary action. Involuntary actions नहीं होने चाहिए. मैं सो रहा हूँ, something like that. Those actions are not to be coming as a human action. And third is that these actions should coming out from free will. So any action which is coming out of knowledge, which are voluntary and which have been coming from free will, that action will be considered as human action, and that human action will be evaluated as right and wrong. Isn't it? It's simply that I came forward and I rested on this table like this. I'm not even aware. And if somebody says this is unethical, भाई मुझे पता ही नहीं. This is not voluntary. This is not coming from free will, and this is not, I'm not coming from knowledge. But same thing will become unethical if I know that this person who's sitting in the first row, he will get offended when I do this. अगर ये मुझे पता है intentionally, then I will come and I will lean on this table and I will speak like that. And now this action becomes unethical. This action becomes wrong because it was well intended. I knew that he will get offended with it. And that this is human action. Okay? That means if we simplify these three criteria, and if I tell you that there is only one criteria which will make any action as human action, then that would be simply like intention. That would be simply like intention. So that means all intended action would be coming from knowledge. That would be my voluntary, and of course that will come from free will. Isn't it? तो ये क्राइटेरिया अपने आप में बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है एथिक्स में. आपका मोटिव भी देखा जाएगा भाई. आपने तो कहा सच बोल रहे हैं, लेकिन आपका इंटेंशन अगर गड़बड़ है तो वो सच बोलने के बावजूद भी आपका एक्शन क्या कहलाएगा? रॉन्ग कहलाता है, क्योंकि आपके इंटेंशन गड़बड़ थे. दिस इज वेयर वी आर ट्राइंग टू से दैट एथिक्स इज अ प्रॉपर डिसिप्लिन, is a proper science. It need to be understood very well. It just cannot be handled on the spot. On the spot treatment नहीं है भाई. As people take it, या ethics ऐसे वहीं देखेंगे. See the paradox and see the contradiction. Result ऐसे ethics से ही आ रहा है. These are the only two areas where you easily reach to 120, 125. And yet people end up giving very less time to ethics and essay. क्यों? क्योंकि जनरलाइज्ड है ना. उनको लगता है यार क्या यार वहीं देखे बना के लिख देंगे, और वो 90-100 आ भी जाते. एथिक्स में 90-100 आ भी गई, उसको लगता है यार हो तो गया काम. बट ही फॉरगेट्स कि अगर थोड़े से एफर्ट्स डाले होते तो 20-25 नंबर का, 20 से 30 नंबर का एक जंप मिलने वाला. तो जो बॉर्डर पे रह रहे हैं, आई मीन इट विल बी समथिंग लाइक शूटिंग अप. Okay. Now in this, one more thing. Are all voluntary action coming from free will? Impulsive यहाँ पर impulse का गुंजाइश नहीं है ethics, right? It requires thinking. I'll ask in another way. Are all free will actions are voluntary action? Or is all free action voluntary? Yes, because they are coming from free will. तो जो free will से action आ रहे हैं, all free will action are voluntary action. Now you tell me, are all voluntary action free action? Huh? Yes, very good. I might be acting under some force, some pressure. किसी ने गन लगा रखी है. So I am doing action, but that action is not coming from free will. But that is my voluntary action. So does ethics applies on that? Is this human action? Human action नहीं है. Are you getting my point? वो ह्यूमन एक्शन नहीं है, वहां पर एथिक्स नहीं लगेगा. क्यों नहीं लगेगा? क्योंकि वो फ्री विल से था ही नहीं एक्शन. सो अनदर इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्ट दैट presupposition of ethical examination is freedom of will. फ्रीडम होनी चाहिए. अगर फ्रीडम नहीं है तो एथिक्स लगेगा ही नहीं, बिकॉज यू हैड डन दैट एक्शन आउट ऑफ some fear or some pressure, etc., etc., and that was not free will. Okay. Now one more thing is left in this human action. Once we have decided that these actions are human actions, okay, now we need to understand within human action what human action के अंदर भी क्या देखना है. So there we need to have, or we need to understand the parts of human action, and there are three parts. There are three parts. One is essence of action. जो एक्शन कर रहे हो उसका एसेंस क्या है. Then second, circumstances. Under what circumstances you have performed that action. And third is intention. And third is intention. Getting? So within human action, we have three parts, and these three parts are human actions. पहला था the essence of an action. And the essence of action could be, one is good, isn't it? Essence of action is good. For example, speaking truth. That is very essence of that action is good. But based on intention and circumstances, this good can become bad based on intention or circumstances. Isn't it? वो कैसे? Intention was wrong and you spoke truth, but your intention was to malign another person's image. Essence of action was good, but based on intention it had become bad. दूसरा, essence of action is bad. एसेंस ही बेकार है, and hence जिसका एसेंस ही बेकार है, can it become good? No, it cannot become good. Essence of action, for example, lying, cheating, fraud, ये very essence ही बेकार है इनका. It's a bad. They can never become good. Lying can never be justified. Okay. And third action is indifferent, which is neither good, nor bad. But based on intention and circumstances, indifferent action could become good as well as bad. For example, you are walking in the morning, you are walking, that's indifferent act. But if you are walking for the health purpose, it becomes good. And if you are walking to do something wrong activity or some criminal activity, then that becomes wrong. That becomes bad. पहला part. दूसरा is like circumstances. Second is circumstances. Now circumstances, they are not physical circumstances, rather basically they are moral circumstances, and it is like circumstances means an activity done at a particular space or time and under the particular situation by a particular some agent. So that is like circumstances. तो ह्यूमन एक्शन किन परिस्थितियों में आपने वो एक्शन किया है, वो परिस्थितियां भी देखनी होंगी, राइट? हाउएवर दिस सर्कमस्टांसेस लीडिंग टू a situation ethics. A situation ethics, and this situation ethics leads to relativism. And you can say it leads to subjectivism. सब्जेक्टिविटी हो गया ना, मतलब आप कह रहे हैं भाई उस परिस्थिति में मैं ऐसा ही करने वाला था, दूसरा कह रहा है कि नहीं यार कैसी भी परिस्थिति हो आप ऐसे कैसे कर सकते हो. So that becomes a kind of a debate, and that leads to a kind of subjectivity. Third part of human action is intention. Okay. Now, very essence of action is, for example, good. हम गुड को अलग अलग कंटेक्स्ट में यूज कर रहे हैं. ओके. पहला हमारा कंटेक्स्ट था व्हाट इज गुड, व्हाट इज द कंसेप्शन ऑफ गुड. वहां पर गुड का रेफरेंस था मॉरल गुड, मॉरली गुड, दैट वाज वैल्यू बेस्ड, मॉरल कंसेप्ट था. दूसरा कंसेप्ट में हमने यूज करा दैट इट इज लाइक ईटिंग फ्रूट्स एंड ड्रिंकिंग वाटर. वहां पर मॉरल कंसेप्ट नहीं था, वहां पर अमॉरल था, मॉरल न्यूट्रल था वो. ओके. यहां पर गुड और बैड को हम यूज कर रहे हैं फॉर एग्जांपल विद द रेफरेंस ऑफ राइट एंड रॉन्ग इन जनरल कंसेप्शन, क्या गुड है क्या बैड है, समथिंग लाइक दैट. ओके. सो नाउ some actions are by very essence they are good, like for example truth speaking, for example. और कोई बताओ that is like the very essence of that action is good. Be kind, kindness, or like donation, altruism, charity. Okay. However, based on intention and circumstances, this very essence good action could become more good, it could become less good, and it become even bad. तो बैड भी बन सकता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल You can take charity or donation. If you are doing charity for the cause of humanity, for the welfare, to the service to the society, pay back to the society, giving back to the society, joy of giving, then that donation becomes more good. Okay? This donation and charity becomes less good because you are doing charity and donation for self gratification, for your name, or like to get rid of somebody. Somebody is asking donation and you gave something and you just forget it, now don't come again. Okay, so abhi bhi donation to hai, abhi bhi charity hai. However, that has become less good. But donation and charity, so called charity and donation, becomes bad also. वो कैसे? I am doing charity and I am giving donation just to lure people, right? To come into my network, to come into my racket, and I'm getting involved them. I'm involving them into some illegal activities, some criminal activities, some like I'm running some racket, or I might be doing some organ trade. इसलिए मैं डोनेशन और चैरिटी का दिखावा कर रहा हूँ एंड आई एम कैचिंग पीपल एंड आई एम मेकिंग देम टू इन्वॉल्व इनटू क्रिमिनल और इलीगल एक्टिविटीज. तो देखिए, डोनेशन और चैरिटी क्या बन गया? बैड बन गया. तो मेन यहां पर कौन रोल प्ले कर रहा है? इंटेंशन. इज द इंटेंशन. इसीलिए गांधी जी हैड टॉक्ड अबाउट मीन्स भी सही होने चाहिए, एंड भी सही होना चाहिए, और आपका इंटेंशन भी सही होना चाहिए. ये तीनों का जब कॉम्बिनेशन करोगे, देन यू विल हैव होलिस्टिक कॉम्पिटेंस, एंड देन यू विल बी एबल टू हैव दैट कंसेप्शन ऑफ गुड रियलाइजेशन. Then you will be like something like ethical. Then second is the very essence of action is bad. Okay, for example, lying. But however, on the basis of intention and circumstances, intention or circumstances, this bad might become more bad and less bad. For example, lying. Now, lying can never become good because lying is a lying. It can never be justified. Lekin lying can become less bad. Why? See, I'm lying for the self gratification, for the corruption, this and that, for my selfish interest, and I'm lying to save somebody's life, isn't it? So I save somebody's life, and hence my lying is like less bad. Like this is like we had talked about, we have given reference of Yudhishthir, that is considered as white lie. Though is spoken truth, yet it is considered as white lie because intention was something different. और उसी वजह से, if you have read Mahabharat, he had to visit once to the hell. Are you waiting? Have you studied Mahabharat? No, you didn't. महाभारत तो मतलब जनरली नहीं करते भी पढ़ ही लेते हैं. Okay, that was like a story was, Yudhishthir was, when they have Vanprast Sara ho gaya, one by one they were falling and they were dying, something like that. Then Yudhishthir was being followed by one dog, and then he followed till he reached to a place which is hell, and he finds that his brothers are all in the hell. तो देखा कि भाई यार ये क्या हो रहा है? Why we people are in hell? So that was like not exactly hell. That was a testing of Yudhishthir. Okay, ये जो ईश्वर और देवता लोग हैं, ये अग्नि परीक्षा लेते रहते थे, something like that. So that was examination of Yudhishthir's standards. and he says कि I'm not going to work, I'll stay here only and I'll stay along with my brothers only. Then Yamraj comes and then he says, मैं तो टेस्ट ही कर रहा था, right? So that way. But Yudhishthir, Dharmaraj, right? He had to see, no matter it was illusion, but he had to see that hell. Why? Because of that white lie. Getting? Third is, the essence of action is indifferent. Essence of action is indifferent. Now, based on intention and circumstances, it might become good or it might become bad. Is that fine? So that is like parts in human action. This is what we are trying to understand, that this is the parts and these are the conditions for human action. Now this chart becomes complete. और इस चार्ट को we will be utilizing. This is what we are dealing with the hardcore ethics, and now this chart would be utilized to understand our syllabus. ओके इसको रेफरेंस में रख के और इसके बेसिस पे we will understand syllabus, we will analyze the syllabus, and we will end up reordering our syllabus. And that reordering will give you a good, great insight in this syllabus, and you will understand what exactly needs to be done. With this discussion, one thing also become very clear, that before the start of ethics, before the beginning of ethics, first of all, we need to establish world of value or set of principle. Isn't it? यहां से हमारी जर्नी शुरू होती है. अगर ये ही नहीं है, अगर ये क्राइटेरिया ही नहीं है, तो फिर तो क्या तो ह्यूमन एक्शन होगा और क्या राइट एंड रॉन्ग होगा. Okay, so this is the first and foremost. We have also learned that how and why this has to be created. And we have also learned what are the criteria for this. What are the criteria? Criteria we have written here at one place, that they should be objective, they should be universal, they should fulfill social and collective purpose, and they should harmonize everybody into one system, and they should be absolute. At the same time, we can also differentiate between what is good and what is right. Good or right may be difference hai. Though normally, usually, we use them interchangeably. But when it comes to hardcore as a technical subject, then we can say that good is good की जो हम बात कर रहे हैं, the supreme principles, set of values, world of values, summum bonum of human life, ये good क्या होगा? Absolute होगा. लेकिन right absolute होगा कि relative होगा? ये relative होगा. Why? Because within this there will be conflict of value and there will be conflict of approaches and theory. कांट ये बोल रहा है, यूटिलिटेरियंस ये बोल रहा है. सेंस ऑफ जजमेंट मुझे लेना है. ओके, हेंस वी कैन से दैट राइट इज बेसिकली more of a relative concept as compared to good. Okay. So fine, let us, I'll wind up because के बाद discussion थोड़ा सा लंबा है, so that won't be giving me much space to take up that discussion. We will follow the practice. I'll give you synopsis, okay? And at some places I would be dictating notes, and at some places I'll give you synopsis, and at some places I'll just give you discussion, okay? इन तीनों का एक balance बनाएंगे so that you can have clarity. People have demanded this as synopsis, so if you give, that will be good. That will give us confidence. So fine, not a problem. We will do that. So tomorrow I'll give you certain synopsis of these matter, as well as we will analyze and reorder our syllabus also. Okay? आज Saturday कल class लेते हैं. This Sunday we won't take, but this Saturday we will take class. Okay? Fine. See you tomorrow, same time. Thank you.